They toughed it out over some of the most demanding and downright hazardous trail in race history. 2,000 miles of controlled chaos. All hope to finish, but only one two-person team can claim the trophy. Tonight, Channel 2 Sports chronicles all the thrills from start to finish of the world's longest snow machine race. This is Iron Dog 2015, Need for Speed. The world's longest snow machine race covers 2,000 miles of rugged Alaskan trail. But in 2015, the Iron Dog is taking it to the streets. In an unprecedented move to increase exposure, and after years of discussion, the motorsport is holding a ceremonial start in downtown Anchorage, coinciding with the centennial of Alaska's largest city.
This race has grown leaps and bounds since when I started. There'd be maybe 100 people, 150 people, and now to get this Anchorage start, it's pretty neat to see what this sport has become.
Anything that makes the race grow is a positive thing, and we like to see this. I mean, all these sleds lined up downtown here is a pretty cool sight.
It's an under caution start of 29 miles before the timing aspect of the race begins the following day. 37 two-person teams are vying for the title. The list of contenders includes 10 former champions, even an all-female duo. One hasn't finished in 14 years. But the Anchorage start isn't the only new component to the Iron Dog. The last two Alaskan winters will go down as notorious and largely deprived of snow. This isn't supposed to be a race for four-wheelers, but in the opening 350 miles, racers will be driving over a lot of dirt and will have to display control over adrenaline.
Slower might be a little faster this year with the conditions, so we'll just have to kind of race for the conditions and just see what happens.
Big Lake, site of the actual time to start, is in fact aptly named. But racers are focused more on what lies beyond the slush and standing water of the start line and anticipate utilizing the skill set of MacGyver.
We added a little bit of extra venting on the cowling here, and then some guys are even adding an aluminum box on the back to be able to scoop up any snow they might see on the trail and fill that box up with. It sits right on top of your radiator.
The four-strokes have no trouble with low snow conditions. It's just the water. If we could keep them on top of the water, we'll be doing fine this year.
Those who navigate the timber of south central Alaska make it to Squentin, 89 miles into the race. For contenders, checkpoints are little more than refueling spots, except maybe for Ryan Sotosanti and Shane Barber, who find replacement goggles stuck in their engine, burnt to the point of being useless. One contending team doesn't even make it that far. About 40 miles from the start, three-time runners-up Tyler Ackelstad and Tyson Johnson are the first ones out of the race with motor problems to Ackelstad's sled.
At this point, we're really not able to get it running because there's looking to be some other underlying facts to why it did what it did. It's very numbing and heartbreaking. I mean, it's a bummer, but it does happen.
The technical difficulty of day one includes passages like the Happy River Steps, a series of steep switchbacks that'll test both modern-day equipment and a driver's handling ability. Further up trail, the Farewell Berm is particularly barren. Most teams travel the 75 miles from Roan to Nikolai at no more than 35 miles an hour. 350 miles into the race lies McGrath, the third largest community on the trail. A little over 10 hours, 11 minutes after getting the green flag in Big Lake, Aaron Bartel and seven-time champion Scott Davis arrive. And in this race, that's considered deliberate.
Wherever there was water, we would get the sleds cooled down where, they'd go a ways without any coolant.
8:28:49.
If a helicopter would have landed halfway across the burn, we both would have got on it, left our machines, and we'd be in Vegas right now.
Bartel and Davis actually own the fourth best course time to McGrath. Getting there the fastest is the final team to leave the start line. Rookie Alan Hill and four-time champion Mark McKenna, followed by Scott Feo and Eric Quam, a minute 28 seconds back.
When you got to take a break, be quick, do your moves, make your steps, I guess, and just keep going. That's the main thing. Never stop. Just always roll.
I think we probably stopped like 15 times probably. Those dudes came motoring past us. Who's 20? Is that Eric and Scotty? They came motoring past us like they were on a tractor.
Just 3 teams out of 37 scratched from the race on day 1, a testament to the overall skill set of Iron Dog drivers. The rest of the mileage will reveal they don't call them pro class for nothing. On the second day of the Iron Dog, it's 37 degrees above zero in Galena. Or, to put it another way, 75 degrees warmer than a typical February day in this interior Alaskan village.
The racers are definitely going to have to make sure they do have oil in their machines. They're going to have to take a little bit more time making sure their tanks are full with fuel. And so it's going to add a few more minutes.
Scott Feo and Eric Quam put the feet up in Ruby for 8 hours. Same with Alan Hill and Mark McKenna. But others push 52 more miles and reach Galena right at dusk. Aaron Bartell and Scott Davis check in 4 minutes in front of Brad and Andy George.
5:56.12. Got you off the clock. Hey, good to see you there, Scott.
Compared to the dirt terrain of day 1, it appears racers have gotten a reprieve.
The rivers is by far the fastest I've ever seen it. I mean, literally on the handlebar for 46 miles or whatever, 52 or whatever it is.
Anytime we'd get into the rough stuff, we just tone it down a little bit and, you know, just saving our iron. It's only the second day of the race, so we got a lot more trail.
Open water on the Yukon River results in some rerouting to Overland Trail, extending the course by 9 miles between Galena and Caltech. Teams come off their break just before 2 a.m. and bolt towards the Bering Sea coast. In Unalakleet, the game of leapfrog continues. Theo and Quam check in first, 6 minutes ahead of Hill and McKenna.
We had a good clean run coming in, and it was fun battling it out with McKenna and Hill there. We were just riding side by side pretty much the whole way.
Extremely happy. I got a 30-year-old guy that ain't never been out here before, so he's doing awesome and I'm happy.
Although the weather of the Iron Dog has not yet been severe, the trail continues to chew up and spit out snow machines that were previously in mint condition. Not to mention the humans on board.
No snow here. We skinned, doing 95 miles an hour through that frozen tundra and going over these huge rides. You don't know what's on the other side. And, I mean, any one of these corners could have a log.
It's pretty rough, and some of those long stretches where it's just tussocks for 5 hours or something, you're just, you know, it starts to get pretty tiring, but other than that, we just try to enjoy ourselves.
I just hit the ice on the other side and just got dumped. Fun, man. Sliding along in your head.
Yeah, I look up and Dad's sled's still in the water and Dad's on the bank sliding across. And his sled's sitting there in it and he's up on the bank and I was thinking, get up, Dad, get up. And he gets up and looks back. I was like, he's all right. So I made it across.
From Unalakleet, it's another 267 miles to the halfway point of Nome. The Bering Sea coast can be wretched because of high winds, although this team appears to be operating at a pretty decent clip. But when you're talking 2,000 miles of trail, conditions will indeed vary. A submerged snow machine ends the race for lower 48 drivers Randy Gravatt and Dieter Strobel. Of course, not everybody is that unfortunate. High speed, high stakes, and no fear. The Iron Dog field began their journey at 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning. By 6:21 p.m. on Tuesday, Theo and Quam have reached Nome, a distance of 1,108 miles. That's 25 hours and 9 minutes of actual riding time.
Yeah, good ride.
Hey, let me get that pine cone out of here.
And they call that a slow pace.
We were riding with McKenna there for a little while going into Shaktoolik, and then they had a steering issue, I think. It was just some of the trail wasn't marked real well, and so we had to do a little navigating. And some of it, the trail markers, they were out there marking it as we came by. We were just a little bit too fast for them.
Luckily, we had a little bit of good weather, so we could see a little bit, but it was still really rough out of Unalakleet for the first 30 miles, and then a little open water here and there.
Quam won the race previously with McKenna in 2008. Feo is a second-generation driver and son of 7-time champion John Feo. Their lead extends to 17 minutes, with Bartell and Davis losing time due to a crash near White Mountain that left the race's other 7-time champion injured.
came over a rise, and there was a bump on the other side that he didn't expect. It went a little bigger bump. So when he hit that, the machine just bottomed out. So when it did that, when it came off, it launched sideways and then kind of drug him underneath the machine. And so it was kind of a nasty wreck there. I was thinking how many pieces I was going to have to pick Humpty Dumpty up in.
Brad and Andy George are now third, and the only other team within an hour of the lead. But if the first half of the race has taught us anything, the route to the checkered flag in Fairbanks could very well produce additional anguish.
There's going to be carnage on the way back, definitely. I mean, obviously you can see Scott already wrecked once. Things are getting fatigued. We'll see what happens.
The motors are turned off, but Iron Dog drivers remain on the clock during a maintenance period in Nome. The necessary sled work is added to overall course time. This procedure has been known to thrust a team into contention and ruin the chances of others. Certain solutions can be inventive, and race rules allow for a little bit of sportsmanship between teams.
Wrecked outside of Shack 2 Lick there, so I had to switch a hood. One of our buddies scratched, so we robbed their hood off of it. My handlebars were bent up pretty good, so we swapped that out.
Sitting only 15 minutes out of third, a surprise, the youngest team in the field, Brett Lapham and Cody Barber, whose father Shane is 4 positions behind.
Me and Brett, we've just been running the pace. He's doing a great job. Every time I look back, sometimes I'm not expecting him to be there, and he's right there on the tail light. So yeah, I'm kind of shocked to see where we're at also.
After the wrenching, Scott Theo and Eric Quam hold a 12-minute, 32-second lead over Aaron Bartel and Scott Davis, with Brad and Andy George the only other twosome within an hour. The frontrunners pick up a $10,000 halfway prize, redemption for Quam, who 2 years ago lost out on the big money through a timing technicality.
I was looking at my phone, making sure that I was still in first place when I woke up this morning, because last time I thought I was in first place and I wasn't. So it's finally nice to get the actual check, and it's kind of a cool prize.
All winter, drivers have been craving snow, but they should be careful what they wish for. A brewing storm along the coast gives indication this will not end up being a 3-team race.
We're just going to have to keep pushing, keep the same pace, I guess, and try to be consistent and just don't make any mistakes and stay on the trail.
Snow's going to cover up rocks, it's going to cover up logs, and your chances of hitting some of that stuff's going to be definitely elevated, and it could hit either one of us.
I'm sure it's going to be a little slower, probably be a few wind drifts down the road, maybe burn a lot more fuel.
I'm a little sore, but you know, it's getting better each day.
Scott Davis enters the second half of the race laboring. The legendary driver spent most of his Iron Dog prime battling John Feo, the only other man with 7 championships. To win a record-breaking 8th, he'll have to chase down John Feo's son.
Say the wind blows at 5 minutes, you can barely tell where anybody went. So I would guess that, you know, it'll accordion up. Some guys, you know, the top 5 guys probably catch, you know, a little accordion up just because of the way the weather is kind of holding up the guys in the back.
Weather is now a factor for the first time in the 2,000-mile Iron Dog. But you're talking about drivers who laugh in the face of such elements. It's just how they ride. Teams will display the guts and guile necessary to reach the finish line in Fairbanks, another 923 miles away. Over half of the remaining mileage in the Iron Dog covers previously traveled trail. Despite conditions that resemble the inside of a milk carton, Scott Feo and Eric Quam require approximately the same amount of time racing to Unalakleet as they did on their northbound run to Nome. Released at 8 a.m. on Thursday morning, the leaders reach Unalakleet after 5 hours, 19 minutes. So much for the grind of trail breaking.
We were kind of fortunate, I think, to get out in the dark this morning just because we could use our lights out of Nome, and it was a flat-out blizzard. I mean, it must be blowing 50 mile an hour up there, and it was kind of like being shook in a snow globe.
Once again, Aaron Bartel and Scott Davis are next into Unalakleet, but their deficit has only grown. with Davis crashing for the second time in the race on an ice edge during that very blizzard. The 7-time champion and his talented 24-year-old teammate now trail by 34 minutes.
Davis, how are you doing?
Oh, we'll bleed up today. Had a couple of mishaps and had a crash out on the way to Shack Tulik, so a little sore, banged up, and we're gonna go recoup and we'll see what we can do.
Since we have a little over an hour off of them, it's gonna be hard to make that up. So really it's gonna be us keeping clean and them possibly, I'm not gonna wish anything bad on anybody, but possibly breaking, and then that's gonna really be the only way we're gonna get an hour back on that.
The race for Davis's son Corey ends in Unalakleet. Ryan Simons is towing his partner into the checkpoint. A blown motor, another victim of the world's toughest snow machine race.
No fault of anybody's, just something stupid, happened. We don't really know, but we know it's in the lower end, unfixable.
It's so miserable, and the stuff you bounce through and got to go through, unless you're out there and do it, there's no way of even explaining what it's like.
But misery loves company. After a 10-hour break, Theo and Quam are back on course and go full throttle to Galena, another 193 miles away. The Yukon River has enabled teams to hit speeds that made this race famous. Theo and Quam reach 76 miles an hour. One more 10-hour layover must be taken, but here the leaders do not even stay long enough for a cup of coffee. Back downriver they go. They'll take that final mandatory rest in Ruby instead. And even more significant, the lead is large enough, their pursuers are now chasing a ghost. The top rookie in the race so far is Alan Hill, the partner of 4-time champ Mark McKenna. The tandem has pulled 15 minutes in front of Brad and Andy George, although Hill will no doubt remember his debut Iron Dog for more than one reason.
He's just had a stomach bug since we got to know him, so he's doing what he can. He's doing better than most could right now. He hasn't ate any food in 2 days.
In Ruby, Theo and Quam have napped and showered by the time last year's title combatants arrive. In 2014, Todd Minnick and Nick Olstad held off Mike Morgan and Chris Olds for the championship. Now, both are outside the top 10. Just goes to show, every Iron Dog is different.
We're getting close. We're almost to the road system now. Yeah, we can walk here pretty soon. We'll get there. We'll get to that banquet tomorrow night, guarantee you that.
120 miles downriver is Tanana, where every team is held overnight to ensure a daylight finish in Fairbanks. But there shouldn't be this much waiting. Though still ahead, Theo and Quam are late. They lose a half hour going down a trapline trail and leave the door open as Bartel and Davis are able to claw to within 32 minutes.
Good job, you guys good? Everybody good? Yeah.
All right. A few little things going goofy today. I guess we had our own little troubles finally, and but we're still moving and everything looks good. Our sleds are good and we're good.
We had to break a little trail, which kind of makes it challenging. It'd be nice if there was broken trail ahead of us, but it wasn't the case, so that added to our challenges today.
Racers can take comfort in one fact: the suffering will all be over with tomorrow. The Iron Dog race has been around 3+ decades, long enough to acquire history. Scott Theo, a man born within weeks of the inaugural Iron Dog in 1984, a race his father won, is 291 miles away from becoming the first second-generation champion.
It would mean a lot to not just me and my partner, but my whole family and all my friends and supporters. Today we're just going to go out and ride, and we'll think about it more when we get there.
Theo's teammate Eric Quam also has a lot at stake. 4 years ago, the 2008 winner led the race until the final 70 miles, but walked away with a runner-up trophy. And in 2013, he was on pace to finish second as well, before a late scratch. The remaining mileage is flat river running, primarily in the daylight. Aaron Bartel and Scott Davis have to hope the leaders make another mistake. The 2015 Iron Dog has provided a nice intersection. Older stars like Davis and Andy George in the running, past champions Quam and Mark McKenna, and young phenoms like Bartel, Brad George, and Cody Barber. The uniqueness of what we're about to see is not lost on a crowd that's gathering in downtown Fairbanks, including one special guest.
Well, I'm very proud, but a nervous wreck too. Boy, it's stressful being in the air, even though you think it'd be more relaxing, but you're worrying about the weather, you're worrying about your team on the ground, waiting for this ping to come from North Pole in. I mean, they're close, so hopefully they can put it together.
There would be no second slip-up. Theo and Quam complete the world's longest snow machine race, covering 2,031 miles in 41 hours, 46 minutes. Quam etching his own name into Iron Dog lore as the 15th driver to win at least twice. And for the Theo family, the circle is now complete.
We just had a lot of prep into our sleds, and the trail was unreal this year. I mean, just brutally rough, all different terrain, all different weather. I mean, every day was different. We went through so many obstacles. We were just real consistent. I think it really paid off for us.
Quam also had reason to lean on loved ones during race preparations.
I dedicate this race to, the family members that we lost this year. We lost my wife's dad, Ted Wilson, my mom, Carol Quam, and my dad, Jerry Quam. And so it's been a rough year on the family, so this race is dedicated to them. When you get out there on the trail, you kind of have to tune everything else and totally focus on the trail, because you get to thinking about anything else, and next thing you know, you're going to be out in the tule bushes or upside down.
46 minutes later, Bartel and Davis arrive in Fairbanks. We now know the 7-time champion battled through broken ribs and a torn spleen.
When I crashed, I landed, did over the bars and landed on my back, and my ribs turned and dug into my shoulder blade there, and Aaron actually rode the bent up sled, and I got to ride his all the way home, so because I have more seniority than he has.
It's like my dad chasing me down, and you got to respect the guy. I mean, he's one of the greatest ever to do this race, so definitely a lot of respect there.
And rounding out the top 3, 4-time champion Mark McKenna and his rookie partner Alan Hill. 20 of the 37 Pro Class teams end up finishing one of the most demanding versions of the Iron Dog, a race that recognizes the history of the past, the mystery of the future, and especially for the champions, the gift of the present.